All right. I think we can get started. It's a couple of minutes over. So, this talk is about OpenSDS and the partnership with SNIA. Myself, Rakesh Jain, I work for IBM Research, and I've been involved with OpenSDS for about a couple of years now, part of the TSC. So I will start with some of the details, and then Stephen will take us through rest of the exciting stuff. So before we start, actually, how many of you have heard about OpenSDS? It's good. And how many of you have used OpenSDS? Not good. All right, we are actually, I'll go into it. Okay, so this is a project we started about maybe a couple of years ago. In fact, end of 2016. And in fact, we had a presentation here a couple of years ago as well on when we were launching the project. So now, actually, quite a few companies have involved with OpenSDS, and it's a worldwide community. And the objective here is to basically deal with the storage management and data integration challenges. So let's say I'm going to give you one example. This is Kubernetes related example, but OpenSDS is not just Kubernetes, all right? So if you know very well that there is something called CSI specifications for cloud native stuff. And if you have to use CSI plugins in Kubernetes today, you basically install the plugin for each storage system you're using. So for storage A, you have a plugin. For storage 2, you have a plugin, like that. You add new storage, you have to add new plugin. So that's basically one of the problems today, that you have to manage multiple plugins. Whenever you upgrade Kubernetes, whenever there is a change in the specifications, you have to deal with all this. Plus, many storage systems actually do not have CSI plugins today. Another thing is that the data is of course going to be in the storage system, but it's kind of isolated in it because you cannot move across storage systems if they are different vendors. And then, of course, monitoring and all that you have to do separately. So this is one of the challenges we are trying to address. And this one actually explains how. So OpenSDS has its own CSI plugin. All you do is install OpenSDS CSI plugin and OpenSDS. Now, other than that, OpenSDS actually interacts with all other storage systems through different mechanisms, either through native OpenSDS drivers or through a Cinder interface. As you know, there are a lot of Cinder drivers available for each storage system today, basically. OpenSDS also does not just block, file, and object also. And we are also adding the Swordfish support for the southbound. I will talk about the northbound in a bit, but this is basically one way of addressing the challenge I just mentioned. Now, you see there at the bottom, there is also the data replication and migration across storage systems, which could be of different vendors. This thing something we do using host-based replication. And if you know, there is this company called Linbit. and they have this DRBD driver. So they have actually contributed to OpenSDS as well using their technology. We are doing this. But that's not all. OpenSDS also has this multi-cloud, and there's a project called Gelato, which is actually a sub-project within OpenSDS, and this is dealing with the multi-cloud management. So you can basically move the data, this is mainly for object storage, and move the data between different cloud providers. So that's one. More important is that whether your Kubernetes is running in cloud or on-premise, for your volumes, you can take snapshot and store it directly in your favorite cloud provider in the object storage. So basically, you can do snapshotting of your volumes and store in the cloud, all through one interface of OpenSDS. So OpenSDS has a nice UI, as you see there. Besides Kubernetes, as I mentioned, we have northbound plugins for OpenStack, as well as working on the VMware stuff there. So it's not just Kubernetes, that's what I meant to say. No, that's not it. There's more. So we have telemetry, and using this, we basically get all the metadata, usage, and the performance data of the storage systems. That is very important. We use that in our intelligence module. So what we do there, basically, there is a nice demo sometime we can show about using machine learning to do the anomaly detection within your storage system in terms of usage or whatever it is, right, or performance. So there is something, it's experimental right now, it is still in work in progress, but it is very powerful. Other than that, there is this automation and orchestration, which is basically, what it is doing. You can actually create the workflows to do your work. For example, you want to take snapshot in the cloud on a regular basis. You can create a workflow for that. Excuse me. So like that, there's orchestration there. So these are basically the benefits. You have one plugin. You add new storage. You do have to configure OpenSDS, but you don't have to worry about anything on the northbound side. And then most important is that you get one view for all your storage infrastructure through OpenSDS, as well as, of course, the data migration piece. So this is what we're trying to do. This is a project, actually. It's not like some company donated some code and people started using it and added features. Not like that, right? It's something we started from scratch. So it took a couple of years. We are pretty close to a stable release, a production release. So that should be, actually we learned a lot in terms of how we can create the community and get going. All right, so that's the introduction of OpenSDS. Now, what we are doing with SNIA. So when we started designing OpenSDS APIs, we looked at Swordfish. That's a couple of years ago. It was still new, and we were also learning it. So the way we use today is this. Basically, we have used the Swordfish data model in our APIs, but we have our own APIs, which are different than the Swordfish APIs. So that's one distinction. but we'll address that. As part of the usage and design, we actually learned a lot, as well as we have been providing feedback to SNIA on their specification. And the intention is that we will have a fully Swordfish capable or compatible API. To start with, in parallel with the OpenSDS API, but we'll see sometimes we may actually merge into one. So to give an idea of what it is or how it is today, just a little introduction, what is OpenSDS Profile? So Profile is like, service catalog you probably have seen this gold, silver, platinum, or bronze types of service. So that's what basically a OpenSDS profile is, and you use that to provision the storage. Now, how do we use Swordfish in these profiles, right? So what we have done is basically we use the concept of the line of service, which is there in Swordfish. So in these lines of service, we have basically this 5: data storage, I/O connectivity, data protection, data security, and I/O performance. The first 3 we have implemented. The last 2 are in progress right now. Now, I won't go actually in too much details here. It will get a little boring. It's all APIs. But just an example for data storage capabilities. So what Swordfish data storage capabilities include is this provisioning policy, whether it is fixed or thin, space efficient. Now, this is very interesting. The reason we are using this is because we didn't want to come up with another set of nomenclature for different things done in storage. As you know, space efficient is used by some storage systems today to describe thin or thick. so that's we don't want to get in that kind of situation. So let's follow what is being defined by the industry standards committee. So we are using this. So space efficient is actually compression or dedupe, and then recovery time objectives. Now, today, this is basically how the API, the REST API looks like for adding the storage capabilities into the OpenSDS profile. So it's pretty simple, straightforward thing here. So how does it actually work? What happens basically is that when you want to provision storage, you, at the top left there, you provide a profile that I want to use this profile to provision my storage. From the storage side, we are getting the pools, and those pools fall into certain data storage capabilities. The profile, when you go into the details of it, has a set of data storage capabilities, and we basically do a match. If the capabilities match, that's basically, it goes to that filter to do the matching, and if it matches, we find the pool or pools which are capable of provisioning the storage. So this standard scheduling stuff for creating the storage, the volumes. Actually, if you have any questions, you can ask anytime. All right, so what we want to do further. As I mentioned, Actually, let me ask, I assume you're working in some sort of storage stuff, and how many of you have Swordfish implementation or have seen Swordfish implementation? One, right? So that's the thing, right? So we actually started with this, and um, the APIs are actually, they have done good work, very well explained and detailed, tries to include everything. So what we want to do now further is that we want to actually align our APIs completely with Swordfish. So that's one thing. Another thing is that, as we just saw, there are not many storage systems which have Swordfish implementation. But if you use OpenSDS, and OpenSDS has Swordfish APIs, below OpenSDS, all the storage systems, whether they have Swordfish or not, they automatically get Swordfish APIs because you actually use them through OpenSDS. So that's another important thing. As well as what we do basically is that we do provide feedback to SNIA. And I think we are working on some formal agreement for partnership there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sense mean I'm automatically supported if I have a Cinder or Manila drive?
Yeah, that's the idea, yeah. Once we have the full Swordfish compatible.
So in order to plug into your system, I need a Cinder or Manila.
Yes.
Or Swordfish, by the way, and then we have to just create a profiles and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the OpenSDS stuff, yeah. All right, so that's it from me. Stephen will take us through some more interesting stuff.
More interesting, I'm not too sure, but some more stuff. I'm going to try to show, I'm from FutureWay, by the way. I'm sure everybody knows about this company. I mean, it's in the news all day long, so, okay. So, I'm here for a break, from all this news, so, okay. So, I'm going to show a demo of how we use OpenSDS to do file provisioning. So this is what it is. So what we do is that what we need to do is to first of all create a profile for it. So this is we do a file share kind of profile, and you can see like in terms of the selection for a profile type, it can be, the storage type can be file or block for now. And then the access protocol, NFS, I think, hang on, let me skip back a bit. Wait a minute. I'm getting out of control here. Okay, so the profile itself allows you to specify the access protocol, the access capability, and QoS policy, the snapshot policy and stuff like that. And also in terms of like the storage pool, which is available storage pool, the matching type. So matching type meaning that you, depending on the type of access, you find the right pool for you to do the provisioning. Okay. And then what we're trying to do here is that if you want to create a file share, all you have to do is to use that profile that we've created. Use the name of the file share, and then select the profile that we just created. Okay, and there you have it. I'm gonna skip back here a little. So you can see, the file share that we created, with a capacity of 1 gig, and the profile type is shown there. Status is available, and then here again shows you the basic information of the file share that we created. And here, with the file share that we created, we are going to mount it. So the access has been denied because we haven't created the rule for the access. So we need to do that over here. And then we try to mount again, it's successful. And try to do some write operation over here. Okay, and then the second part of this is that we're going to try to show how we can use this, make use of this file share, and then through this interface itself to do snapshots for this file share. Okay. So there we have it. And now this is another part. So besides using the GUI, we should also be able to do to use the OpenSDS CLI to create file shares. So this is the CLI part. Yeah, and then you can see that it's available. This part of the demo is going to show how we create the persistent volumes for Kubernetes. So the kubectl that you see up there is the control for Kubernetes. So we try to get a pod, and then how we try to assign the file share as a persistent kind of volume type for the Kubernetes pod. So here's the YAML file for the OpenSDS CSI. That's how we interface with Kubernetes. So again, here we mount the file on top of the Kubernetes host system. I think that's it for this demo. Yeah. Any questions? I think it's a little fast, but I think the basic idea is that what we're trying to show here is that through the OpenSDS interface, we use our profiles to provision files to you can use the file share to be attached as if you're running in standalone kind of systems, you can do your individual mounting, through the CSI interface, you can actually use OpenSDS to create persistent volumes for Kubernetes. And also, besides that, I mean, if you have OpenStack and VMware actually, the plugin we are developing right now, it's not available yet. But for OpenStack, Cinder, and Manila, we are able to do that. Okay. I mean, of course, for file share, it'll be Manila, and then for the block systems, it'll be through Cinder. I think we have plenty of time. Let me see whether I can bring up another. Yes?
What algorithm are you guys built in for the profile to resource matching? Sorry, I'll get the right word out.
The matching.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just the first available kind of thing. Yeah, round robin thing. We haven't really, I mean, delved a lot into that part of things. Yeah. Right. Let's see what I can find. Yeah, this is what I'm going to show. So, like what Rakesh showed earlier, there we do have like telemetry. So this is the demo for the telemetry stuff that we've done. So the telemetry, I mean, all these are modular systems that you can add on to the OpenSDS system. So you can enable or disable the telemetry module. So here we have enabled it and then run it, the install, I mean, using Ansible playbooks. So monitoring, yeah. So we actually integrated, well, kind of integrated with Grafana. So you get some very nice, I mean, metrics that you can actually display through the Grafana dashboard here. And there's also like, I mean, you can create alert manager. We use Prometheus for the data logging and aggregation kind of thing. So there's the Prometheus configuration that you need to do there, and then through the there's a lot of details about Prometheus and Grafana that you got to play with in terms of configuration. But just bear with this thing, right? And then after that, you get the fancy kind of you know, the graphs and stuff. For instance, you can see here, like we are creating the graph for the disk performance, and then you can choose like the IOPS, transactions per second and stuff like that, the response time. So essentially what this demo is trying to show is that OpenSDS, I mean, is the module that actually collects the data from all the different storage systems. And then through the Prometheus, we actually aggregate the data there, and then through Grafana, I mean, be able to do the presentation of the data that we've collected. Okay. This part is about configuring alerts. Yeah, we have to restart the server. I mean, this is just how Prometheus works. After the configuration, we need to do that. Yeah. All right. So this alert is for high IOPS. Okay, so when it reaches a certain threshold level, it actually triggers some alerts, and this is what it's trying to show here. Okay. So I'm going to come back to the presentation. So the OpenSDS project is actually currently going through a rescoping, rebranding kind of phase. We're going to change from OpenSDS to SODA. So SODA, the S doesn't really stand for anything. Okay, it's the ODA that's important. It's open data. It's about open data autonomy. So S, because we had so many suggestions like what S should be. Could be smart, simple, software. So in the end, we decided to just leave it. I mean, S can be whatever you want it to be. I mean, something. Okay. But the key here is like open data autonomy. Okay. So we're going to be more focused on like the data part of things instead of the storage part. So, and the reason for this is because the companies that we've been working with, storage is just a part of the infrastructure that they just assume it to be working. Okay, what they want more is about the data part. I mean, they're more concerned with. So that's why we move on to the data part of things. And the data the applications, these are the applications they run. They run big data. They're like Toyota, they're more concerned with IoT, how they can actually, their autonomous vehicles, they collect the data and at the edge, how you can move the data from the edge to the data center and to the cloud. And like big data, a lot of companies are doing that, like Yahoo Japan, I mean, one of the end users, I mean, they run like big data applications in Hadoop and stuff like that. They're more concerned with those kind of application stuff. So the bottom part, I mean, the data can be sitting in like your on-premise storage and on any kind of storage, or can be sitting in the cloud. And then they have all these applications that run in containers, virtualization, the edge, and stuff like that. So what they are hoping for is like actually a single platform that can actually that can actually integrate all these things that we need to do with data, like how you can protect data, how you can secure data in a seamless manner, okay, or I mean seamlessly. So that's what this whole open data autonomy is about. I mean, the platform that we're trying to build is to be able to build all this, is to be able to integrate all these different pieces together so that everything works seamlessly, so that when you manage your data, I mean, be it in your, I mean, for this application or that application, or in this platform or that application, everything is going to work the same way, consistently. Okay. And this kind of how the high-level architecture looks like. If you remember the OpenSDS thing that Rakesh was talking about, again, we have those four pieces of things, like the telemetry, orchestration, intelligence, and multi-cloud sitting in the middle here. And we do have all these things exposed through the SODA REST API, which is again using the Swordfish model. And then at the northbound side, we still have the SODA plugins for all these different kind of compute frameworks. And of course, if you have your customized kind of applications, I mean, other kinds of enterprise applications, you can always use the API to do the integration with the application. And then on the southbound side of this architecture, again, we have the storage dock that connects to different kinds of storage. And SODA is transforming from like being just a single project to a foundation, meaning that there are different projects that are coming in. So there is a company, China Unicom, okay? They have internally, in-house, they have an object kind of storage kind of project that they're going to contribute into the OpenSDS project. So that's going to be under like the SODA storage. So SODA storage is not just a single storage. It's like different companies contributing their different projects. Like Intel, they have the NVMe over Fabric project that they're going to contribute into the SODA storage, under SODA storage. And then there's like Limbit itself, again, the DRBD company, they are going to do something about, I mean, for software-defined high availability kind of storage also. So that's for the on-premise part. So for the cloud, we're going to do a project, start a project next year to do what we call Soda Flake for now. So basically, it allows you to do storage management in the cloud. For instance, if you're taking a snapshot on your local storage system, and then the multi-cloud piece is going to, I mean, you can move, with the multi-cloud piece, you can move the snapshot into the cloud. And how, if let's say you're on AWS, the Soda Flake can actually use that snapshot to restore it into an EBS kind of a volume for you, so that you can actually do cloud bursting and start running applications in the cloud. So that's what the Soda Flake piece is about. And then Soda Edge, that's something that we're going to start next year or so. So this is about how you can actually enable data mobility between the edge and the cloud and edge to the storage. So for instance, like Toyota, their use case, the cars actually has a lot of sensors. And the sensor can just be like getting data like a few bits, maybe it's a single bit of data for on and off kind of thing. Okay, so how can you actually, so the problem is that how do you store that data, the 1 bit of data? It's not very efficient to store 1 bit of data in a block or in an object, okay? So we are trying to solve problems like that. How can you actually aggregate that kind of data, I mean, or how can you store that data or manage that data and then actually move it between the edge and the cloud? And then one of the other thing that they have is that they want to do data lifecycle management. So a car itself has they're estimating a lifetime of like 15 to 20 years. So they need to store all that 15 to 20 years of data for a single car, I mean, in somewhere. So they need to do data lifecycle management, like every half a year or every 3 months, move the data, from one place to another, and then eventually do the archiving of the data. Okay. So these are things that we are doing here. So if you look at the left-hand side, the tech-focused part, I was looking at the SNIA chart out there. There are kind of like some overlaps over here. So we do work with SNIA and Swordfish team closely, like for data management, how you can actually protect your data, how can you actually do things like data lifecycle management and stuff like that. Okay, and then the data governance, how can you actually control the access to the data? How can you actually secure the data, key management and things like that. Data exchange is something that's brought up by one of the end user company, SoftBank. They have like a lot of different kind of storage systems. So but the problem with them is that if they want to run some applications, some data that's stored in some storage systems, they need to pull that out and be able to store it in another system. So they need this interchangeable or interoperable kind of data exchange kind of platform to make sure that data can be transformed from one source to another so that it can be used everywhere. Okay, so that's what data exchange is about. And data intelligence is about how you can leverage the data, the enterprise data that's available to actually help with the business with the business units their business, right? And eventually, what we are hoping to do in Soda is that we want to build an ecosystem for Soda ready certification, so that when end users or customers, they want to purchase they have some kind of purchase order, all they need to do is to specify Soda ready. So this is actually, again, something that's brought up by the end users, that they want to do. Okay. So OpenSDS throughout, since the formation, we've done a lot of conferences. SDC, this is our 3rd year here. But in a lot of the open source events worldwide, we've been, we are growing the communities everywhere. So we do hope that, if you're not part of the project yet, or if your company is not part of the project yet, do join us. Okay. So we are launching, again, we are trying to launch the project in early 2020. We are going to do a soft launch in December 17 in Tokyo. And we welcome you guys. There's going to be a half-day kind of event. We're going to have like mini summit, different companies like NTT, Toyota, Vodafone, and IBM, Intel, they'll be here there. So it'll be a good place to interact with everybody. Okay. and get to know the real users. And we have actually Nakazawa-san from Sakura Internet. He's from Japan. So they are also, one of the key members of the OpenSDS project. So if you guys have any questions about joining the project, approach Rakesh or me, or we have a booth out there, OpenSDS booth. You can come by and talk to us anytime. Okay. Any questions? I think we are about out of time. All right. Thank you very much.